And I think that we should focusing on the passing of time. And I plead all of you to work together with me under this emergency situation. Please save our lives. And this is our priority. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of you for your effort. For the caring houses of the elderly people, among other different institutions, in order to do a better job in the prevention and control of the COVID-19. And I think for the necessities, we should do all kinds of the efforts across the whole country for the utility sectors, including the waters, the powers, and the operations of the railways and airports. All of these infrastructures in their society, it is going to operate in a normal manner. Otherwise, our life could not be going as well as we went before. So that is a necessity for all of our existence. So that is also an important weapon that we have against the battle against COVID-19. So we are seeing these horrible scenarios lying in front of us. So for all of the people and all of the friends, from the bottom of my heart, I also want to show my gratifications. And another part I want to talk about is about the contact between people and people. I suggested that we should keep social distancing at 1 meter. And I suggested all of you to keep social distancing and to not go to the public place. I am sorry for all the borders we created, for all the company owners and enterprises and staffmen. I am asking for a joint help for all of you. And we should minimize the activities in the companies and in the private sectors as much as possible. For the past 24 hours, just in the Tokyo regions, we have over 200 people confirmed and infected, and in different prefectures and cities and provinces. And I think the infection actually influenced around 60% of the sphere area of Tokyo, and I think that it is also affecting 80% of the Osaka city. And I believe that around 80%, even to 70% of the normal business should be shut down during this COVID-19 outbreak. And I believe it is quite difficult for the national economy. With the increasing of the infectious number, we should confine the infection number to 3,000 in the Tokyo prefectures and 1,000 in the Osaka prefecture. And this needs the joint effort across the whole country. And we should also save our lives for the hospital and medics. To save life is the very mission of our lives. For the increase of the infected numbers, we should work and try hard for our medical workers who are fighting at the forefront of the COVID-19. So I ask once again for your help, and I plead all of you's joint effort. And please, to reduce your social activities. And in order to maintain the lives of our country, in order to have the normal operations of the medical institutions in our country, I think that it is a bondage between all of our people and also all of our nation. And I need all of you's effort and individual activities. And I think that this national emergency situation is not only limited to the 9 different prefectures I had mentioned before. It is right now expanding to the whole nation across Japan. Currently, we are setting up an emergency treatment center in Tokyo. And starting from tomorrow, we are going to make sure against this situation. And I believe that in each different cities, prefectures, we should set up the emergency headquarters to deal with the outbreak of the COVID-19. And we also invited the professional medical workers to be a participant in our decisions in the Tokyo prefectures and Osaka prefectures, and among other 9 different prefectures. We are working together with the governors of these prefectures and calling for a national effort to deal with this COVID-19 outbreak. And I think it is approaching the Golden Week with an increasing of the infected cases. And I think that we should do our best to maintain the life. And that is the most urgent scenario. And I believe that for this Golden Week, our national income is going to be reduced by 90%. I'm sorry for that information, but some of the SMEs and among other different tourism practitioners suffered a lot from this season. But I need the joint effort from all walks of life, from all the peoples in Japan. And I believe that COVID-19 is posing a real danger for the national economy and for the very existence of the people in our nation. For different prefectures and regions, I believe that we have different spots for the tourism, and I believe that in the Golden Week, it is going to be flux of the tourists. And I believe that all of the prefectures and cities should keep up with the emergency treatment plan tonight. Since I'm expanding the national emergency situation to the whole nation, after the Golden Week, in May, the national emergency situation is going to be extended and elongated to the 10th of the May. And I believe that this COVID-19 needs a joint effort from across the nation. Let's work hard for all of our health and life, and also for the medical workers who are fighting at the front line of COVID-19. And we need the joint effort across the whole nation. And I believe this infectious disease is creating a very strict, harsh scenario for all the peoples in our nation. While cutting down the budget for other different areas, we are also increasing the budget for the R&Ds about this virus. And I need the sense of unity across the whole nation. Together, by joining hands together with the people from across our nations, we are going to tackle against COVID-19. And I'm going to deliver a subsidy to all the peoples in Japan, amounted to 100,000 Japanese yen. And for the SMEs, every month, I'm going to deliver 3 million subsidies for all of them. With all the complaints of the other parties, I think I'm going to expand this welfare program to all the peoples across the nation, and I think I'm going to increase the budget from 6 trillion Japanese yen to 18 trillion Japanese yen. So for the things you have to do, in the coming week, we are going to keep up with this foundation, and I need all the support across the Congress and the Parliament. And for the process, in order to tackle against this difficult time, it is my responsibility, my mission, and I am also apologizing for towards people across this country. So, in order to create a healthy environment for all the peoples across our country and in order to protect the citizens across our country, that is the best decision I am making right now. And that is the only choice I was left for. And this speech is demonstrating my determination and result. As long as we are implementing these measures for 1 day earlier, it is going to save hundreds of lives, and it needs the joint effort from the government and from all across the nation. So I still remember back in the 2008 when the scandals of the Lehman Brothers breaks out. We have adopted a 3-month national emergency. But for these times, to tackle against COVID-19, we need to speed up while we are treating against the COVID-19. And I believe that the virus is not only attacking the citizens in the prefectures, and I believe it is also attacking the villagers and also the people living in every corners across Japan. And for those people who are in the event industry, we are creating a lot of burden for all of you, but I believe that our economy is going to be rebuilt once again. And I'm going to deliver some of the subsidies for all of you. And for these rescue institutions, for these times of the infectious disease, I believe that for all the practitioners, we are going to adopt a national-wide treatment. For the SMEs, we are going to give around 2 million Japanese yen, and for each of the individual, we are going to deliver in a total 1 million Japanese yen for the rescue. And for those practitioners in the agricultural industry, and we are going to deliver the money to your hand through the county-level institutions. So please work hard during this difficult time. And I believe that by working together, joining hands together, we are going to create a bright new future for all of us, and the government is backing all of you, and I believe that all of you's effort is not going to be wasted. At the same time, we are going to overcome this difficult time. We're overcoming this national emergency time. I also heard a lot of emergency situations about the hospital infections. All the medical workers, doctors, nurses, and medics, and even those who are working at the care houses. It is because of you that we are minimizing the risk of infection. And you are fighting at the front line of this against this virus, facing this harsh environment as a country, together with different autonomous regions. We are also going to increase the budget on the medical institutions. We are also going to summon and wrapping up our effort to provide more PPEs toward all of the medics. And I believe that if you are infected in other different diseases, we are going to provide the online treatment. And I think this is bothering all of you's daily life. And we are also going to prepare all of this online treatment within 1 week. And I believe with a joint effort from across the country, we are going to setting up this special mechanism to fight against COVID-19. As long as we are working together with the scientific institutions and private sectors, we are going to marshal up the effort to fight against COVID-19. So currently, we are initiating over 130,000 people to work and to provide the voluntary work for the medical institutions. And at the hospitals, we are providing them ample PPEs at this moment in order to save more lives, in order to maintain all lives. I'm going to work really hard together with all of the medical workers, doctors, and nurses. I'm going to triple my investment in the R&Ds of the COVID-19 related research. And for those who are working at the forefront, all of us have our respect for all of you from the bottom of our heart. Facing this harsh situation, all of these medical practitioners across the whole nation, please be enlightened and please do not bother to cheer all of you up and also cheer your patients up. But of course, we have more things to do. Something lying in front of us. Not only facing the situation, but also facing with the future. All of us together should cut down the infection number in the coming 2 weeks. Of course, this is going to ease the burden at the hospital. I believe that after 2 weeks, the situations at the hospital is going to be determined by our effort right now. The future is decided by our current action. In order to support the medical institutions and hospitals, please ease their burdens. Please use your own power to change the future. Please join our efforts for the research. That is the end of my speech. Now the floor is open for questions. And I believe that Mr. Abe and President Abe is going to answer the question for all of you. Please identify yourself and your institution before the questions. And please use the microphone that we provided to you. And after you ask the question in Japanese, please repeat it in English. With Tokyo News. In these national emergency situations, in order to prevent a nationwide infection, for all of those prefectures has less infectious case, and I think they are deeply infected by the national emergency situation. And as the government is pushing forward 3 necessary situations. Please explain to us why do you adopting such a situation, and please tell us why do you extend these emergency situations to the 6th of May, and can you tell us what is going to happen in May? What is your judgment for the situation in May? Thank you. Since I'm declaring a nationwide emergency, of course, in the middle of it, some of the voices is telling me that the number of the infections is not that much. Of course, if we look at the Gunma prefecture, the total infections number is not that much. But I believe that the infection started from the metropolitan regions, and it is actually expanding across the whole country. And some of the people are thinking that we are living in the remote corner that is very good for all of us. But I believe that the whole nation is working in a unified mechanism. And especially as you mentioned, in the different prefectures, in the different regions and communities, some of the high-aged community is suffered from higher risk. But I'm going to deploy more medical staffs and medical support to all of them. For this region, I'm working for the Golden Week, and since we are facing the Golden Week, and there is going to be a lot of people in doing this migration, and I'm calling out for a nationwide effort to tackle with these situations. I'm also calling out for a national effort to reduce the travel, and I think that I need a joint effort across the whole nation. And as I mentioned about the utilities and the infrastructures, I'm going to give the microphone to Mr. Owen to talk about the details. So for the destination point, just as all of you might know, if you're looking at the current situation, if you look at what happened 2 weeks before and 2 weeks later, what is this virus going to develop? And I think that at the 6th of May, it is 1 month after the outbreak of the COVID-19. And I believe that through the joint effort, it is going to reduce about 80%. Currently, we are at the increasing part of this infectious curve. We also want to flatten the curve, but I believe at the 6th of May, we are going to find out whether the curve is flattened or increased or decreased. And as long as the curve is showing some of the indications of flattening out, I believe that this is a very good scenario, and that is our target at the point of the 6th of May. Based on this situation, what kind of measure are we going to take? I think it's being decided by our infectious experts. Let me give you more explanation, because he's an expert in the infectious disease. And I think the infectious trajectories is going to be decided at the 6th of May. And at that time, we are going to give you a secondary judgment based on this. And we want to reduce the infectious number by 80%. That is our government priority. So with Kyoto News, you are delivering around 100,000 cash to citizens across the whole nation. And I believe it might create some of the inflations. Why didn't you adopt these measures at the very beginning? And for these cash subsidies, how long will you going to subsidize to peoples across this country? And what is the reason behind this? What is the logic behind this 100,000 Japanese yen? So how do you guarantee that every citizen in our country is going to get this part of the cash? Please tell us the procedures. Thank you. Since I have declared a nationwide emergency situation, I actually came up with a plan of giving a cash of around 100,000 Japanese yen to all the citizens. I still remember that back in 2008, we have delivered around 300,000 Japanese yen to people across the country. And I think this is a time of the emergency, and this subsidy is based on the economic loss that we are estimating right now. Currently, we are dividing the whole outbreak of the COVID-19 into 3 different phases. Currently, we are at the first phase, and we are putting all kinds of the bans on the travels and transportations, and I need a joint effort across the nation. That is the reason I am delivering this cash subsidy. And in the process, I want to activate all the peoples across the whole nation. That is my very initial purpose. And I think the infectious disease is expanding to the every corners across the nation. I think that I am not only need the effort from the citizens, I also need the effort from basically every corners across the country. That is the reason, after a very good consideration, I'm going to give the cash subsidies to every single one of you. And for every day, I'm going to give you a subsidy of around 100,000 Japanese yen. And I think this is a basic pocket money to guarantee you daily necessary life. And I also discuss it with the other party, and I believe that we have achieved a consensus in the parliament. And until the 6th of May, we are going to reconsider this cash subsidy. And I think this cash is going to be delivered to everybody within 1 week. And I'm going to make sure that the cash is going to be delivered at your hand. And I think that the earlier we deliver it to your hand, the better the situation is going to be better. What kind of a method are we going to adopt? At the 2008 financial crisis, I think that we have the time to think about that. And I'm going to remit it to all the bank account to all of you. But I don't think it will cost a lot of time. But I'm going to deliver this cash subsidy in a quickly manner. But for the detailed method that I'm going to came up, currently we are still under discussion. Once the procedure is coming out, I'm going to reveal it to the media for your inspection. Thank you.